The bright afternoon sun poured through the towering glass walls of the luxurious Grand Meridian Hotel, painting golden reflections across the polished marble floor. Guests laughed softly in the elegant lobby while the scent of fresh lilies drifted through the air. It looked like the perfect place for comfort and hospitality, until one heartbreaking moment shattered that illusion. A tired black father walked through the revolving doors with his little daughter asleep on his shoulder and a bouquet of white lilies clutched tightly in his hand. His clothes were dusty from travel, his face carried the weight of countless sleepless nights, and every step revealed quiet exhaustion. Before he could even reach the reception desk, judgment had already filled the room. Within minutes, the staff would humiliate him, refuse him a room, and unknowingly make the biggest mistake of their careers. They had absolutely no idea that the weary father standing before them was the true owner of the hotel they proudly worked in. Before we continue this emotional story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy if you believe everyone deserves respect, second chances, and compassion regardless of how they look. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. The man's name was Malik Carter, a 38-year-old entrepreneur whose success had never erased the painful memories of growing up with nothing. Long before luxury hotels carried his family's investment, Malik had lived in a tiny apartment where broken windows let winter winds blow inside. His mother cleaned hotel rooms for years, teaching him that true wealth was measured by character rather than money. Those lessons remained with him even after business success transformed his life. Life, however, had recently tested him in ways no amount of wealth could solve. Only 8 months earlier, his beloved wife Naomi had lost her courageous battle against cancer. Since then, Malik had become both father and mother to their 6-year-old daughter, Amara. Every morning he braided her hair with clumsy fingers after watching online tutorials. Every night he read her favorite bedtime stories while hiding his own tears after she finally fell asleep. The white lilies in his hand were not gifts for celebration. They were Naomi's favorite flowers. Every year on their wedding anniversary, Malik visited the botanical garden where they had first met. This year, however, he wanted to spend the day quietly at the Grand Meridian because Naomi herself had once helped him design its peaceful rooftop memorial garden before she became ill. It was the one place that still made him feel close to her. Malik never announced himself when visiting his businesses. He believed the only honest way to understand customer service was to experience it exactly as every ordinary guest did. No expensive suits, no assistants, no security, no luxury cars waiting outside. Just one father carrying his sleeping daughter and a heart full of memories. After driving for several hours from another city following a charity meeting, Malik looked more like a construction worker finishing a difficult shift than the successful hotel owner whose investments had helped build the Grand Meridian into one of the finest hotels in the state. The young receptionist glanced briefly toward him before returning her attention to another guest dressed in designer clothing. When Malik finally reached the counter after patiently waiting, she barely looked him in the eyes. Instead of greeting him warmly, her expression immediately became cold and suspicious. She quietly assumed he could never afford the hotel's premium rooms. Her manager, Brenda Whitmore, noticed Malik standing at the desk and walked over with crossed arms. Without asking polite questions or offering assistance, she began studying his worn jacket, dusty boots, and tired appearance. The sleeping little girl resting on his shoulder only seemed to reinforce her unfair assumptions. Brenda believed luxury hotels should maintain a certain image. To her, Malik simply did not fit it. Although several rooms remained available, she claimed every suite had already been reserved. She suggested that Malik try a motel several miles away instead. Guests nearby began looking over as embarrassment slowly spread across the father's face. Amara stirred gently but remained asleep, hugging her stuffed teddy bear without knowing the humiliation her father was quietly enduring. Malik stayed remarkably calm. Years earlier, such treatment might have filled him with anger. But grief had changed him. Losing Naomi had taught him that every cruel moment offered a choice between bitterness and dignity. He politely asked whether she could double-check availability because he knew rooms should still be open during the middle of the week. Instead of checking the computer, Brenda signaled security. The lobby grew strangely silent. Several guests watched as though expecting trouble, even though Malik had raised neither his voice nor his attitude. Security guards approached cautiously, uncertain why they had even been called. One elderly couple sitting near the fireplace exchanged disappointed glances. They had witnessed everything from the beginning. The wife quietly whispered that the exhausted father deserved kindness, not suspicion. Before security reached him, Amara slowly opened her sleepy eyes. Still half asleep, she softly asked if they had arrived at Mommy's garden. Those innocent words struck Malik harder than any insult ever could. He smiled gently despite the pain filling his heart and kissed her forehead. The elderly woman watching nearby wiped away a tear. Brenda, however, remained unmoved. She insisted the hotel could not accommodate him. Malik quietly reached into his pocket. Everyone assumed he would produce a credit card. Instead, he removed a simple silver keycard engraved with the original Grand Meridian logo, a design that had never been given to ordinary guests. Attached to it was a small metal tag carrying one sentence: Founders Access. Brenda frowned in confusion. She had never seen it before. One of the older maintenance supervisors passing through the lobby suddenly froze. His eyes widened. He immediately recognized both the card and the man holding it. Nearly 12 years earlier, before the hotel had even opened, he had worked alongside Malik during construction inspections. Although Malik rarely visited publicly, the supervisor would never forget the humble owner who personally thanked every worker by name. Without hesitation, the supervisor hurried across the lobby. He respectfully greeted Malik. The entire atmosphere changed. Employees stared in disbelief. The receptionist's face turned pale. Security immediately stepped back. Brenda nervously asked what was happening. The supervisor quietly explained that the man standing before them was not simply another guest. He was the majority owner of the Grand Meridian Hotel Group. Silence swept across the lobby. No one moved. No one spoke. Brenda's confidence disappeared instantly. Her expression transformed from authority to panic. She desperately searched for words that could somehow undo everything that had already happened. Malik looked around the beautiful lobby Naomi had helped design. The marble floors gleamed. Fresh flowers decorated every corner. Soft piano music floated through the air. Everything looked perfect. Everything except the people responsible for welcoming guests. He calmly asked for every employee involved to gather in the conference room within 15 minutes. No shouting. No public humiliation. Just quiet disappointment. While they assembled, Malik carried Amara upstairs himself after another employee kindly prepared a peaceful suite overlooking the rooftop garden. The little girl immediately ran toward the balcony where butterflies fluttered among colorful flowers. She smiled for the first time all day. Watching her laugh surrounded by Naomi's favorite blossoms reminded Malik exactly why this hotel had been built, not merely to earn profits, but to become a place where weary travelers could find comfort during life's hardest moments. Downstairs, anxiety filled the conference room. Employees whispered nervously. Some feared layoffs. Others wondered whether the rumors were true. Then Malik entered carrying nothing except the bouquet of lilies. He placed the flowers gently on the conference table. For several long seconds, he simply looked around the room. Finally, he spoke. He explained that luxury was never defined by marble floors, expensive chandeliers, or 5-star ratings. Luxury began the moment someone walked through the front door feeling seen, respected, and welcomed. He shared the story of his mother cleaning hotel rooms so he could attend school. He spoke about Naomi's dream that every guest, rich or poor, would be treated like family. Then he quietly described losing his wife and becoming a single father trying to keep his daughter's world from falling apart. There were tears throughout the room. Even employees who had never met him before lowered their heads in shame. Malik admitted that being denied a room hurt. But what hurt even more was realizing another grieving family might someday experience exactly the same rejection. That could never become the culture of his hotels. Effective immediately, Brenda and the receptionist were dismissed from their positions. The decision was not based on one mistake alone. Internal investigations revealed multiple complaints involving discrimination, disrespect, and unfair treatment toward guests over several months. Malik believed forgiveness mattered, but leadership also required accountability. The remaining staff would receive intensive hospitality retraining focused on empathy, inclusion, and dignity. Every employee would spend one day each year volunteering at homeless shelters and family assistance centers to better understand the unseen struggles many guests quietly carried. The hotel would also establish the Naomi Carter Compassion Award, honoring employees who consistently demonstrated extraordinary kindness. Weeks later, remarkable changes became visible throughout the Grand Meridian. Guests noticed warmer greetings. Employees smiled more naturally. Staff members offered help before being asked. Families traveling with children found thoughtful welcome baskets waiting in their rooms. Veterans, Widows and exhausted parents often discovered anonymous upgrades funded through Malik's personal foundation. Word spread quickly. The Grand Meridian became known not only for elegance but for genuine humanity. Months later, the elderly couple who had witnessed Malik's humiliation returned for another visit. This time, they watched a young bellhop kneel beside a frightened little boy, helping him find his lost stuffed rabbit before even checking luggage. The old woman smiled through happy tears. She whispered that kindness had become contagious. On another sunny afternoon, Malik and Amara walked through Naomi's memorial garden together. Butterflies danced among blooming lilies. Amara gently placed fresh flowers beside a small engraved bench dedicated to her mother. She looked up at her father and smiled. Although she still missed her mom every single day, she finally believed happiness could grow beside sadness. Malik realized the hotel had become far more than a successful business. It had become Naomi's living legacy. A place where strangers could feel valued. A place where appearances never mattered more than hearts. A place where every employee understood that one simple act of compassion might change someone's life forever. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support encourages us to continue sharing stories that remind the world kindness still has the power to change lives. Yellow Heart special request. Before this story ends, comment one word below. Respect. If you believe every person deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter their appearance or circumstances. As the afternoon sunlight bathed the rooftop garden in warm golden light, Malik lifted Amara into his arms and together they watched the wind gently sway Naomi's beloved white lilies. He understood that real success would never be measured by the number of hotels he owned, the money in his accounts, or the luxury surrounding him. It would always be measured by the number of people who walked through his doors feeling accepted, valued, and cared for. Because buildings create businesses, but kindness creates legacies. And long after names fade from signs and fortunes disappear, the compassion we show others becomes the greatest inheritance we leave behind.